We are Pro Cannabis Media.
All right, welcome everybody. Thanks again. I'm Brandon Jones from Pro Cannabis Media. I'm very happy to be joined today by April Hatch, awesome cannabis nurse here in the state of Missouri, and Dolores Halbin, another great person with the medical field, helping nurses all throughout the state of Missouri, and really a trailblazer. Been doing this for a very long time. Thank you so much for joining us, Dolores and April. I wanted to talk about the event that's coming up here June 9th through the 11th. You guys are putting on that's so awesome. We talk about all these fun events that are going around to consumption and talking about this, but this is the education event. This is where, the science comes to meet. We have real doctors talking about real science and how it can really help people. So I just wanted to, get out here, get as much exposure as we could for you guys, and just want to give you a chance to talk. So April, if you could please just tell us, how you got involved and what we're going to look forward to here.
Yeah. How I got involved, I heard about Patients Out of Time years ago. They were the one organization that had been providing accredited cannabis education for healthcare professionals for over a decade. And there's not a lot of those organizations out there. I also just noticed how they were, not necessarily doing something that some of the other organizations were doing. They weren't commercializing themselves. They were really just maintaining their focus on the education and on ensuring that patients out of time have access to cannabis all over the United States. So that really spoke to me. And Dolores is really good friends with Mary Lynn Mathry, the executive director, and she called me and she said, "Hey, we need your help on something." And I had no idea that Patients Out of Time would consider coming to Kansas City. Usually they're going to Washington, D.C., California, but they're coming here, and they're really coming here for a reason, because, obviously their new medical program in Missouri, we're really hoping to get Kansas on board here pretty soon. Fingers crossed it happens.
And
the physicians, nurses, patients, everyone here really needs access to this education. And so we're super pleased that they are going to bring it to us.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I came to Kansas City. I was like, whoa, it's in Missouri. This is awesome because, like I said, this is, I think, the best event of the year, the most education. I was actually a high school math and physics teacher. So, I love educational aspect of this, and science is what we really need.
You're the physics teacher. Okay, now I know who you are. Okay. We have met so many people. It's been hard to keep up. Okay.
Tell us more about yourself, Dolores.
I met Mary Lynn in 2016. Oh, what did I just do?
You're good.
I had just buried my husband. He didn't quite survive. We had been busted for a cannabis garden in the basement. He had really bad glaucoma, so it was just for medical for him. And like a lot of people that get busted for weed, we got thrown under the bus in a family custody dispute that we had nothing to do with. But that's 90% of the drug busts in America, is just somebody getting mad at somebody else. And, oh, well, they smoke weed, so boom. But between when I went on trial and was found guilty and my sentencing, I went to Baltimore with Jeff Mazinski. Jeff had been out of jail a few weeks, and I had been a widow a couple of months, and we were both in really uncharted territory. And now we're flying to Baltimore, and Mary Lynn asked us to be on a victims panel, and we said, we'll come as long as you change that to survivors panel, because we, Jeff and I are alive. We've lost 3 guys since I've been in this in jail. Stephen Sutherland died of lung cancer during COVID. We had secured his release from prison, and the warden just was being a jerk and wouldn't let him out. Homer Wilson was a 38-year-old, really large man that was arrested with his wife in front of his 2 children at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night in Eureka, Kansas. And that's the last time the children and wife saw him alive. He died on the jailhouse floor saying, "I can't breathe," with guards making fun of him. So I got really committed to this. And when I got out to Patients Out of Time and met Mary Lynn, well, we just, she got me my own room. And I go up to her room to hang out, and there's like 20 people sleeping everywhere. They're sleeping vertical. And I'm like, dude, there's 2 queen size beds. I don't need them. So we moved like all the guys to my room, and I moved into Mary Lynn's room, and I think I slept again on the plane ride on the way home. And we kept in touch. We were really excited about going to Washington, D.C. in 2018. We were going to have the March on the Capitol, but it's never happened in 50 years of prohibition that I've been in it. We never had a march. Never. Marches have materialized over issues in this country overnight, but the cannabis community has never once marched on Washington, D.C. And we were going to. We got shut down by the pandemic. So last August, I'm just sitting here with my chickens, and Mary Lynn calls me. I'm like, oh, I always answer the phone when it's her. And she's like, I thought I'd come by. Like, she lives in Virginia. I'm in the Midwest. I'm like, well, sure, come on by. So long story short, she was on her way back from visiting family up north somewhere. And she did come by and was telling me, we just, I think we're going to go back to DC. And I said, no, I think you should come here. And I pitched it. And it was one of those, really, it's been a God thing from the onset, because that was the weekend that there was an expo event in St. Louis. Corinne Spinks had one of her giant mega events, and literally everybody related to cannabis in the state was in St. Louis except me. I was up here. So we gave her a tour of the city, took her down to Unity, showed her Union Station, just showed her around, did the whole sightseeing thing, and then shipped her to St. Louis. And as she's leaving St. Louis, she called me and she goes, "You guys have an army." And I'm like, "We do. And we want you to come. And the reason we want you to come is we are 1 mile at Unity Temple on the Plaza from the Prohibition state line. We will have to warn people at the outset of the conference every day, you are safe. You cross that border just a few blocks that way, you're not safe. You're a criminal. In Kansas City, Missouri, thanks to Mayor Quentin Lucas, you're safe. The worst thing you can get is a $25 nuisance ticket for smoking in a non-smoking area. That would happen with cigarettes as well. Yep. So we have the safety zone, but it just so highlights prohibition to be that close to where, like if I get found in Kansas with a pack of rolling papers in my possession in the next 5 months, I go straight to jail for 30 days because I'm on probation in Kansas for paraphernalia from an unrelated traffic stop. So that's why we brought him here, because Kansas is one of 3 states with no patient protections, none. And we need the education. We need the help. We need help in the Midwest.
I do.
Of course, yeah. Go ahead, April.
So the title for this year is the Endocannabinoid System and Beyond. And, really, honestly, we could talk about the endocannabinoid system at a conference without even bringing up cannabis. This is a system that everyone has in our bodies. This is a system that, unfortunately, I was never taught about in nursing school. It is a real system. There's been thousands of articles that have studied it, and most physicians, healthcare professionals, and most patients aren't aware of the system and what it's really responsible for. I was actually, I teach for St. Louis University, and I was teaching a group of nurse practitioners. They were there for a day to receive continuing education. And although the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, which is like the big board of nursing that licenses everybody, They published some guidelines that's in 2018 that said all nurses need to know about cannabis. And they need to know about the endocannabinoid system. They need to know about drug interactions, and they need to know the laws in their state. Not one of those nurses had ever heard of the endocannabinoid system. And these are nurse practitioners who've all got master's degrees. And it's really, it's frustrating, but it just emphasizes how much a conference like this is needed because, at this point, people are scared of cannabis, and we have to get them comfortable with it. And, we have to get physicians comfortable talking about this system that patients have. I talked to a lot of patients. I was just talking to a patient just before this call, and fortunately, she has a physician who's encouraged her to try cannabis, but that's really, where it ends. They can't provide guidance. They don't, have any really education they can provide because they can't even really talk about it without feeling like they're going to get in trouble. So we need more educated healthcare professionals. And I'll go on mute for a minute because I have a dog barking.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate, the educational. I know you guys know a little bit about my story, but Dolores, I don't know if you know, but I was in a wreck where I had 150 stitches in my face and was put on the morphine drip every 8 minutes. And then here's hydrocodone, here's codeine. We'll try Advil. So I was up to 28 Advil a day at 23 years old, trying to be, following the right path because, I grew up in Kansas, like we're talking about. Still, just because of the last year and a half, seeing what I do, and I'm a licensed cultivator here as well. So being able to show my actually grow my plants and grow my medicine, this is what helps me. And, they finally came around, but that's after 20 years of them seeing me not only in pain for this and how spiral it went, but how it changed and switched when I changed to cannabis. And they still couldn't put it together that alcohol, opioids, bad. Cannabis can really change your quality of life in an overall change that you really have to be able to experience and to then be able to try to educate. And that's why I think this is so huge that we have this here. So grateful for you, Dolores, to bring out Missouri to how we can educate. So we're talking about 1 mile away. When I go visit family in Kansas, I have to make sure I vacuum the car and clean it.
I got blown over by a gust of wind in front of a cop, and I'm like, I'm cool. I don't ever carry stuff in my car. Anyway, I ended up getting searched, and it yielded a roach and a pack of rolling papers and 4 Delta 8 gummies, which were still in the wrapper, for Delta 8. And they charged me 9 months later and issued extradition papers. And I had to plead to, they dropped the possession charge if I'd plead guilty to paraphernalia. I'm like, I just really wanted to say to the prosecuting attorney, are you hearing this when you say it? Like I'm a 67-year-old nurse marijuana patient. Are you hearing this? I've got my card. And I'm like, finally, I just had to say, I think you guys really need to up your idea of criminal behavior in your state for real. This is like pretty sad, but it is very much still alive and well in Kansas. Prohibition. We are making progress. April and her mother, their efforts to educate is just exhausting and so necessary. You just made the comment the other day, April, you didn't want to have a vendor space at the venue because we can't sell anything. We can only have educational vendors at Unity. And I said, well, you have to, you're the only one that's doing it. And you don't have a choice, you're educating. But what she's done, what her efforts have done, what all of us have done that have fought this is we've gone from when I was a year after I was put on trial, convicted of misdemeanor possession, sentenced to time served because we spent a week in jail. A year later, I got my house sold, paid everybody off. The bus cost me my career and $50,000. And I'm just sitting there on the phone talking to my cousin going, I think it's finally over. And the mail lady pulls in the driveway with the registered letter from the State Board of Nursing charging me with moral turpitude. Moral turpitude. That's like the Group W bench. And I know you guys probably never listened to Arlo Guthrie and Alice's Restaurant, but you should. Because the Group W bench is, I mean, this is mother rapers and father rapers and all the really bad guys that are moral turpituders, murder, incest, and me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So we've gone from charging nurses that, you know, agree to help patients like my husband with moral turpitude to putting it in the principles and practice of the National Nurses Association. Now, have we actually got it in there yet? No, they said it should be there, but that's where Patients Out of Time comes in, because we are literally the only people teaching it. We're it. This is.
And a little bit more about Patients Out of Time. You actually are like accredited, and people that are going to get education, this is part of their process, right? There's some, can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so for most nurses and physicians, pharmacists, mental health providers, you have to have so many continuing education credits a year to maintain your license. So for physicians, I think it's 30 every 2 years, and it just is different for each, you know, profession and state. So if you attend this conference Thursday through Saturday, you would get 16.75 continuing education credits or continuing medical education credits, dependent on your profession, which is really all you need for an entire year. Continuing education credits are typically not cheap, especially when you attend the events live in person. You know, nurses are, you know, used to paying a certain amount for continuing education, and so are physicians. So, you know, there are tickets specifically sold for them for those credits. This conference is accredited by the University of Virginia and some other accrediting bodies, and there's a fee associated with that. So we would love to give this education away, but you know, most people will have to pay to purchase a ticket. We do have, you know, some scholarships or like some grant money available if healthcare professionals, patients are really interested in attending the full event, but can't afford it. But, you know, it's, you know, and they've been doing this for a long time. You know, now we see some other conferences and organizations offering credits for nurses, but they've been doing this for 15 years. They really know how to do it. And the content is just going to be spectacular. And it's not, you know, the same stuff that we've all seen. I've taken probably every piece of continuing education that I can for nurses on cannabis. And a lot of it is repeat, you know, same information. There's going to be a lot of different topics that are going to be discussed. One that I'm really excited to attend, you know, hemp and how it can be used to promote global health. Dr. Uma is a physician who, you know, is very passionate about the hemp plant. Martin Lee is going to talk about, you know, psychedelics and the endocannabinoid system. There's just going to be some different presentations that we haven't seen before. So I'm super excited.
Too, right? My buddy Todd, he's going to be out there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that guy is awesome.
He is, yeah.
He always is looking to help give back and help with all aspects. So I'm excited he was there too to see this. And yeah, Dolores, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you said Todd, and I think we're supposed to meet him tomorrow, April. We have to remember after the program. Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's
Todd.
He lives only like 10 or 15 minutes away from me. And so when I told him I was getting back into the space and trying to look to help veterans, he helped me last Memorial Day play in a special golf tournament with a couple of veterans that were in Kansas trying to help, and working with Normal Kansas and trying to help with that. And so I'm trying to work with all those teams as well too. And Todd's been a great supporter, and he's always a great speaker as well too. So I look forward to having him out there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. I've done a lot of work with Todd as well. I'm a huge advocate for, a couple things that we've talked about, obviously educating healthcare professionals. I would love for nurses to have access to cannabis. Right now, they're just able to use alcohol and prescriptions to manage the compassion fatigue that they're experiencing from working as a nurse. But yeah, of course, we need to get people out of prison. We need to stop sending people to prison. But I come from a long line of veterans. My father was a veteran, and I lost my father to suicide. And I think, damn, if he would have had access to cannabis, there could have been a completely different outcome. But the VA is, at this point, it's changed a little bit. Some are more willing to talk about it, but 20 years ago, absolutely not. And you could not test positive for THC without, fear of losing something. So
Yeah, serious repercussions in the military. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, this is why I'm really excited to just have this talk, because I love having both of you on here. Dolores, I haven't got to actually speak to you in person yet before, so this is awesome getting to hang out before the events.
But put a face with a name and a background.
And I'm so grateful for you getting this a great event here. Is there any other parts of the event that you want to make sure everybody is aware of to get out to for just the public, that people that aren't,
There is, as a matter of fact, we're having a benefit fundraiser benefit for Patients Out of Time. This has been tricky business recently, as recently as this past year. Cannabis has been placed under the same restrictions as pharmaceutical drugs when it comes to this sort of event. So whereas in the past, we've been able to have vendors on site at the event selling their wares, buying, $1,500 tables and not batting an eye, nobody gets to sell anything at the event this year. Our fundraiser will be at a benefit banquet, which will be Friday night, June the 10th, at the Midland Theater. It is open to the public, and I believe we've got tickets up for sale now, don't we, April?
Yeah, and all of the tickets for the different events can be purchased at patientsoutofTime.com. But those purchasing a ticket does support Patients Out of Time in their effort to get cannabis descheduled and decriminalized federally. So, it's a very important organization to support. Also, with that ticket, you get to listen to an amazing band that I know Dolores can talk to you more about, some really good food, and just hang out with some really good, just good people, like-minded individuals who are really passionate about this plant. And, people from all over the country. There will likely be more people coming in from out of town than locals. So it'll be really cool to network and, see what people are doing in other places.
We will be having the entertainment of Fletcher Christian, who is one of Kansas City's premier blues musicians. As a matter of fact, Fletcher just got #1 blues musician in the city this year, and he is a veteran.
Yeah, actually, that was an international list, Dolores.
Oh, that was international?
Yeah, there were people in Spain and like Italy on that list.
Oh, wow. Well, good for Fletcher. I've way undersold the guy.
#1 in the world.
#1 in Kansas City. You're #1 in the world.
Right. Yeah.
But Fletcher's also a veteran. I just got low battery. So we're really glad to have him. He's donated his time, although we're going to try to raise some money to pay the band, because we don't want, anybody. We really are. We're looking for a dispensary or anyone that would like to sponsor the band, so we can actually give these guys some money for showing up. He's got a musician coming in from Oklahoma City to play with him, because it's just such a cool event. Tickets for just the general public start at $200 on this event. It does include lots of fun. But for Missouri patients, those tickets are $125. We've also got Teleo Health and several other telemarketing, what do you call them?
Telehealth clinics.
Yeah, telehealth clinics are donating 75 certifications for the first 75 Missouri patients that buy tickets to the event on Friday night. So for a patient, that's $100 value. You have to pay $125 for a ticket. But if you're in the first 75, you get that $100 certification. So you're really getting the whole night's party for 25 bucks. We'll have a live auction. We're looking for donations for that auction. We're looking for art, glass, high-end donations for that auction. So it's a really good chance for people that just want to give a little, or have something really cool sitting around that they don't mind letting go of for a good cause and donating it to us for the auction. We would really appreciate that.
And one thing that I would add is, I'm pretty optimistic. I have high hopes, but when we started this, I had the assumption that all of the dispensaries, manufacturers, anyone who had a license or anyone who had anything to do with the cannabis industry in Missouri would want to support an event like this. We wouldn't have a cannabis industry if it wasn't for these scientists who discovered the endocannabinoid system and who published all this research. It wouldn't be legal here. So we have had a much harder time getting sponsors, because in Missouri specifically, many of them were donating to the initiative that they were just collecting signatures for. So it was just kind of also a bad time to ask them for money. So there have been some operators who really stepped up, and I'd like to shout them out if possible.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, April. Tell.
So, Vivid, of course, one of the first people. Elevate Holistics, always the first people to say yes to an event like this and support it. From the Earth is an Amber sponsor. Camp Cannabis is a sponsor. Let me make sure I'm not leaving anyone. Oh, Coco is actually sponsoring an art exhibit at the conference. But we need more than that. So if anyone who watches your show has any connections to anyone, we're still taking sponsors because it costs a lot of money to bring people in from all over the world to present. And there's going to be the conference. It's 2.5 days. There's an amazing event Thursday evening where I hear there's going to be baby chickens, baby goats, and baby pigs.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then the banquet dinner, and then there's just some things specific to veterans. So it costs a lot of money to put an event like this on. So if you know an organization who wants to help, have them email me directly, April@cannabiscareteam.com. I know it's hard to get time off work, 2.5 days to attend a conference. So if you can't attend the conference, please consider attending that Friday night benefit dinner. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I want to talk about the Thursday reception too, that comes with the ticket as a part of the conference. If you buy the whole conference, it's a reception with all of these speakers, and these are Dustin Sulak. Even these are the guys that wrote the books on cannabis. Literally, we'll have a book vendor there, Michael Green, who's got the books, and the doctors will have a place to sit there and give autographs. The reception is going to be Thursday evening after all the veterans activities at the Guild. But we have expanded this, and we wanted to really celebrate Kansas City at this event. So we have the Kansas City Blues Association providing us all the music with Dirty Dan Rice and the Crows. We have Jack Stack Barbecue catering it, because we're all about blues and barbecue in Kansas City, right? So the other thing that hit me with Jeff's Shady Phrase event last week was all the kids. There were kids everywhere. I'm like, this is what we're missing. Well, first of all, we're missing people of color, but we're also missing kids. So we're opening this event up to children, because our children are astounding ambassadors for cannabis. So many people are in it for their children. So we will have children there. We're going to have a children's art. We're going to have children's tie-dye and a slime station and baby animals. And then April and I are sitting there looking at this space going and talking to Chelsea, the event planner, and it's all this whole mission from God thing we're on. And it's like, we could totally open this up to vendors. And I was talking about Jeff's backyard, and I'm like, yes, there you go. And I'm like, Jeff had Jeff's backyard isn't much bigger than this garden, and he had like 20 vendors stuffed in there. Let's give those vendors, let's just give them booths. And then the next day or the day after, Chelsea emails April and says, if you come up with 10 Kansas City artists that you're going to give free vendor space to, we will give you a grant to help cover the cost of the guild. So we have 6. There are 4 left. They are going to be artists of color. I'm on a mission for diversity. I want this event to really represent Kansas City. We are a multicultural and multi-ethnic, multicolored community. So for 4 days, I've been harassing every Black person I know, going, do you know an artist? I need a Black artist or a brown artist, and nobody's known anybody. So finally I Googled looking for artists of color this morning, and I called the Art Institute, and they hooked me up with a guy that I sent an email to, and I'm like, you know, we'll give you a free spot. You just can't be white, and you have to get us all your stuff by 5 o'clock today.
Yeah. And I love that Dolores is really making an effort to do that, because I know we have a lot of conversations about the lack of diversity in this industry, and it really takes a lot of work to change that. A lot of work. This isn't, you know, this is not easy to address some of the real problems that I think we all can recognize in this. So thank you so much for working so hard on that, Dolores.
Yeah, Christopher Sellers, who does all the delivery for the cannabis here in the state, gave me this personal.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah, and you know, stuff. He's awesome, and yeah, I got to take my 2-year-old son. He's 2.5 to that event at Shady Face Farms. He was playing with the goats over here while I was talking about.
He can come to this. If you sign up for the conference, you can bring your kid to this Thursday night event. And I think for people that aren't healthcare, it's like $300. Well, that's how much it is to get into the Blaze event. And this isn't just going around and preaching to the choir. This isn't everybody there that knows everybody that's there. This is a new audience. This is doctors. What we need is a couple of dispensaries to be willing to purchase one of those vendor tables on site. You can't sell it, but you can sure bring fake products, you know, the fake fruit version of your products to show doctors what it looks like when you walk in the door of a dispensary. And what the blowback that April was getting is like, well, it's too expensive. Patients aren't going to attend this.
Well, here's my argument with that. And I know we just have a few more minutes. There are actually physicians in Missouri who tell their patients what brand of products to take or what dispensaries to shop at. And, you know, maybe that's because the physician knows someone who works there, or the physician has some sort of relationship with that dispensary. But we're lying to ourselves if we don't think doctors are telling patients what to buy, even though that's, you know, not typical, because most physicians don't know about cannabis. So if you want local physicians, nurses to know about your products, this is a perfect time to show them. And, you know, patients are asking them. I talk to a lot of patients and they just want to know, what product do I buy from what dispensary? I mean, honestly, if I could just answer that question, I would not spend a lot of time on the phone with them. Instead, I educate them on what to look for in a dispensary and what to look for in a product. But, you know, it's just
I would argue with them too on that, the client acquisition, getting one client that goes to an event that's going to purchase for one, but getting a doctor or a nurse that's going to see how many clients over how long of a period of time.
That's kind of what we thought, you know. Well, it's like, seriously, this is a golden opportunity. And I don't know. I think
there's 4 left. So if you're there, you're one of only like 3 dispensaries that's even going to be seen there.
Absolutely.
So, and Organic Remedies is supporting the event as well. So I think that's just like a total of like 6 operators, and we have, you know, a lot more than that. So there is still time to support this event. if you have your favorite dispensary and you want to go knock on the door and tell them, I mean,
Yeah,
it makes a
knocking on
difference for me.
No,
I
I'm
look at what,
I'm really excited, and I just really
Yeah.
wanted to thank you guys again so much for
Yeah.
being a part of this event, being a part of what you do every single day. This is just the highlight of what you guys do on a daily basis that, you know, put you in a positions to be able to help this event. Like Dolores, if you didn't have the connection you've had for how many long years, we wouldn't
No,
have it, right?
we are not, we say it jokingly, but we really, this is a mission from God. And I've actually got the Blues Brothers in my DVD player. And when I'm just working on this, I've got it playing in the background because April and I, man, we got to be fearless about this. We have had to go at this with nothing. I mean, just, we have started with nothing, and we are going at it with a complete and utter fearlessness because we are on a mission from God. Until cannabis gets off the schedule, your child can be so controlled with their epilepsy, and you got your perfect doctor and you're in your perfect legal state, but your child gets an appendicitis attack or breaks an arm on their bike and they got to go to the hospital and they got to spend the night, and you could go to jail for giving them their medicine in the hospital and they could die because it's still on the federal schedule as a class 1 drug of no medicinal purposes. And that is our bad. That is collectively our bad because we're 50 lights in a disco ball for each state, and we should be a Death Star zeroed in on the federal government in Washington, D.C. And shame on us for not doing that. And shame on Missouri for going for legal cannabis that they can get DoorDash before they take care of the children. I am so ashamed of our state for doing that route instead of going within the national part of normal, which is we got our kids safe. Now let's go to Washington, D.C. and make sure our kids can be safe, that hospitals can accept cannabis medicine without being afraid of losing Medicare and Medicaid dollars. It's the fear of losing money that keeps hospitals from fulfilling the Hippocratic oath of do no harm. It's time for us to call them out on it. And it's time for us to call each other out on it too. It's time for us to take on the federal government. Shame on us for never, ever once walking on Washington, D.C. I mean, this is a lot of wrong, and we're trying our best to make it right. But it's going to take a collective effort from everybody getting on the same page and going after the elephant in the room that's crapping all over us and keeping our families locked up in jail, keeping the Nazi police forces coming after our mom and pop grow operations. That's our bad. We have the power to change it. We're just not. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, hey, no, thank you, Dolores, and that's why we're here. Like,
I'll tell you how I really feel next time we're together.
we want to hear you, and that's why we're so grateful for you bringing this and, like I said, making this event a possibility for Kansas City. We are extremely grateful, and I speak for myself that I've seen this as a family shun me and make me the black sheep to now finally come across, and it's because of the industry, and the industry wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people like you guys. So I just really want to thank you guys for spending the time today. And just a little side note, Dolores, Jim Belushi was on here on this exact Pro Cannabis Media not too long ago. So you're on the same show.
Can you invite him to the conference?
yes.
Hey, I get the word out. Dan's the man. We'll see what we can do.
Give me his number. I'll call him. Hey,
Well,
Dolores,
she will.
I will.
On the show, guys. Let's see what we can do. All right.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry I got to cut it short, but we got to get out of here. We could keep talking for hours.
I know.
Like, we need to do another time, and let's just keep talking. So I'm so grateful. Thank you again, April. Thank you, Dolores.
Thank
Patients,
you.
June 9th through the 11th in Kansas City. Please, Thursday event, Friday event, plus all of the conferences. So find a way, get out here, go on patientsoutofTime.com, find the events, find the tickets. Thank you so much. I'm Brandon from Pro Cannabis Media. Coming from the Show Me State of Missouri, please come join us. Thank you guys so much.
I love the chase and the hunt. stunting. I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't stop. Step up.
Hey, you want to grow your own plants? Check out Style Lighting's Grow Kit. It has everything you need to become an expert home grower and bring the power of the sun indoors. Style Lighting uses TCP's high-powered commercial LEDs that deliver twice the output in the market. The Grow Kit has a grow bag, a timer, chains to hang the light, and of course the best in the business lighting system by TCP. Check out stylelighting.shop for more information. Weed Talk and In the Weeds are two productions of Pro Cannabis Media supported by Revolutionary Clinics, one of the top medical cannabis dispensaries in the Massachusetts area, now with 3 locations in Greater Boston, 2 in Cambridge and 1 on Broadway in Somerville. Rev Clinics has a patient-first mission. They will customize your needs as a medical patient with the proper titration and combination of strains, flavors, and products. Rev Clinics, where the patient comes first.
Difference is building a solution for that individual. Not just a custom, here's a box, here's a video, here's how you make your VMS. We custom design and custom build every situation for exactly what the customer needs. And we keep the costs low. We have multiple tiers, as far as what you're looking at on the cost side of things. If you want a one-time, where you just pay one initial cost, we have that. If you want to maintain your system and have the highest protection and highest capabilities and highest upgrades at all times, we have different plans for you. But we scale it so it's scalable and affordable 100%. Pro Cannabis Media programming is available live and on demand on our Facebook page at Pro Canna Media, on Instagram at Pro Cannabis Media, on LinkedIn also at Pro Cannabis Media, on YouTube and YouTube Live on Pro Cannabis Media, Twitter at Pro Canna Media, and on twitch.tv/Pro Cannabis Media. So like, share, and subscribe to all of our content, newsletters, and shows live or on demand.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.